So over the last couple of days, we've been launching. I think we're still in the process of it. The IT BPM Roadmap 2022. Now, while some of you may have been in the sessions yesterday or this morning, and have seen how the big industry is doing, how the broader industry is doing the IT BPM. Or you might have picked it up in the media as well, because there was a lot of coverage yesterday as well as this morning. So overall, the IT BPM industry as a whole is growing at 9.2%, adding jobs at 7.8%, creating more high-value jobs, creating more jobs in the provinces. I mean, those are the headlines, right, of the industry as a whole. But this session is about looking specifically into animation and game development and what it means for this particular subsector. So yeah, top drivers. There is a strong client perception of the quality of work done for animation and game development, of work being done in the Philippines. So that's a big driver. There is high quality 2D animation in the country. Now, while that's a strength, as we will see a little ahead, that's also a big threat to the industry. New market opportunities in mobile and online space. Obviously, there's a big explosion in the kind of opportunity here. In terms of challenges, there is limited captive investment, specifically when we talk about 3D studios, when we talk about embracing augmented reality and so on. A lot of your competitors, in terms of countries, have huge government spending on shared facilities when it comes to 3D studios, which people can just rent out for a fraction of the cost that it will take to establish it themselves. So those are some challenges. Strong global competition, like I mentioned. Fast changing underlying technology, and this I think is the biggest risk and the threat to this sector. We're talking about augmented reality, we're talking about virtual reality. Some analysts say 2D, 3D will no longer exist. Game development using traditional modes will no longer exist in 5 years' time. You already see a lot of gadgets coming up which enable AR, VR, and I think that will be the medium of the future. And really all content will have to be curated towards that. And that's the big shift and the threat that faces the industry. But nonetheless, we still think that in this roadmap period, we as consultants and analysts don't think there's going to be this doomsday coming in the next 6 years. There's going to be parts of it that will come true, but not all of it. So we still think that within animation, and I'm looking at animation first, we think there'll be 26.4 million direct revenue generated by the industry. There will be about 2,200 direct jobs created by this subsector. 2D will continue to is today the largest service type. TV, media, and motion pictures are the largest customers. Right? There are 22 large companies, and the market, or at least the supply side, is very concentrated. So there are 5 large players constituting almost 80% of the market. And there is a very long tail of many other companies, very small companies. Now, this is not, while this is not atypical to the animation industry globally, I think the concentration is a little higher in the Philippines compared to other centers. This is what we do in terms of 2D animation, 3D animation. So predominant work is in 2D animation. Game development is about 16%. Animation for game development is about 16%, equal to 3D animation or CGI. And these are by type of customers. This is today's scenario. Now going ahead, we think, and in gaming, the current scenario, this should be 2016, I apologize for that. Gaming will be a similar size, about 24.1 million, is about similar number of employees, about 2,100. Entertainment games are the largest service type, mobile and PC segments are the largest customers. Similar concentration as animation and gaming as well. In terms of revenue by service type, entertainment games base is about 2/3. Educational and other contents are about 1/3. Now, if you look at global, if you look at App Store, or if you look at the Android Store statistics for game development, it is not as skewed as this. So you have lifestyle, you have some other segments that constitute a large portion as well. So I think some diversification is where the game development segment will go to as well. In terms of projected growth for animation, we project the industry to grow at about 18% over the next 6 years. Employment growing at about 15% over the next 6 years. In terms of services, we see the highest growth potential in 3D services. Of course, it is contingent on the infrastructure investments corresponding to it. To put these growth numbers in perspective, it's 2.7 times. So we are almost going to become 3 times if everything goes well in the next 6 years. And the revenue per FTE, or productivity, or an indicator of value, is going up from 12,000 US dollars per annum to about 14,500 US dollars per annum. For the gaming segment, we see growth to be about 13.5% and employment growing at about 11.5%. Productivity growing marginally, but higher than the overall IT/BPM segment, from 11.4 to 12.7. Online games will be the biggest growth segment. Mobile games will come down, PC Mac games, and which is something which we think is notable, that the growth of mobile games, because there's been a large explosion. So we're looking at more, bigger screens, more advanced enabled graphics and processing power enabled games to be more popular going forward. In terms of growth factors, again, strong client perception of the Philippines, and I think this is where you need to emphasize. New market opportunities in mobile and online space. Growth areas, creation of original IP. I think that will be a big differentiator. Some of our nearest competitors have started doing that quite well over the last 2-3 years, and I think we are behind the curve of that, so we need to catch up on that. Further expansion into media, advertising, e-learning, industrial modeling, sort of end clients or end industry. Encouraging some captives, some large businesses now. Just to give you some examples, Malaysia got in Pinewood Studios, India got in some big investments as well in terms of studios and which are driving animation work. So maybe some targeted approach in collaboration with the government to land big investments would have a huge impact on this sector. Supporting pillars, better support from government and conglomerates. I think this is very, very essential. Need recognition of potential in creative industry. In fact, there is almost a case to say that animation and game development is more aligned to the creative sector than to IT/BPM, right? And there probably needs to be some calibration around that, or some linkages on both ends. So that's something to look out for as well. Skills need to be upgraded and improved. Now, on the human capital side, we think there is enough supply. I think it's about where the supply specializes in, which will really become important moving forward. Those are some highlights, and of course the key part of the roadmap are 21 high impact programs that we've identified, or that have been identified, and that will be available for everyone to view shortly on the IBPAP website itself in the form of an executive summary, and the roadmap itself I think will be available for download, but I think it will be chargeable. I'm not sure of the mechanics of it, but shortly it will be available as well. I'm good.